In this video, we are going to talk about statistical inference. Statistical inference is about getting information about a population parameter using sample data. Inference methods help us to predict how close a sample statistic falls to the population parameter. We can make decisions and predictions about populations, even if we have data for relatively few subjects from the population. Everything we have learned previously is a building block for the statistical inference. Statistical inference uses sampling distribution of statistics calculated from the data gathered using randomization, and those sampling distributions are often approximately normal distributed. There are two types of statistical inference methods. First one is estimation of the population parameters. The second is testing hypotheses about the parameter values. Here is an example from your textbook. You can pause this video and read the question. Question 1. Identify two population parameters that this study will estimate. So the first one will be the population proportion of all Americans with health insurance. The second one will be population mean of amount spent on health care by all Americans. Second question. Identify two statistics that can be used to estimate these parameters. So naturally, we can use sample proportion. It is the proportion of only those sampled. And we can also use sample mean. It is the means of only those sampled. We can use the sample proportion to estimate the population proportion. We can use the sample mean to estimate the population mean. Note that the data results used to calculate the proportions will be yes or no response to the questions, such as, do you have health insurance? So it is a categorical variable. Data results used to calculate the means will be dollar amounts in response to questions like, how much did you spend on healthcare? And this is a quantitative variable. Generally, there are two types of estimations and methods: point estimate or interval estimate. A point estimate is a single number that is our best guess for the parameter. An interval estimate is an interval of the numbers that is believed to contain the actual value of the parameter. A point estimate by itself is not sufficient, because it doesn't tell us how close the estimate is likely to be the parameter. An interval estimate tells us that the point estimate falls within a margin of error of the actual population proportion. By incorporating a margin of error, the interval estimate helps us evaluate the accuracy of the point estimate. For example, sample mean x bar is a point estimate of the population mean. Sample proportion p hat is a point estimate of the population proportion. We need to study the properties of point estimators. A good estimator of a parameter has two desirable properties. A good estimator has a sampling distribution that is centered at the parameter it tries to estimate. An estimator with this property is said to be unbiased. Second, a good estimator has a small standard deviation compared to other estimators. The second estimation method is called the interval estimation. It is the inference about a parameter that should contain not only a point estimate, but also indicate its likely precision. An interval estimate indicates precision by giving an interval of numbers around the point estimate. The interval of numbers around the point estimate is called the margin of error. An interval estimate is designed to contain the parameter with some chosen probability, for example, 0.95. Since the interval estimate contains the parameter at a certain degree of confidence, they are referred to as confidence intervals. Here is an example from a textbook about confidence interval. You can pause this video and read the question. Point estimation. From the given information, we have that the p hat equals to 54.8%. So this is the point estimate for the proportion of all votes the candidate will receive. Second question is about the interval estimate. So first we want to find the sample statistics. Then we want to find the margin of error. The sample statistics, it is the p hat. And the margin of error can be found from the given information above. And this is called the lower bound. It is calculated as and the upper bound is calculated as So what's the difference between the point estimate and interval estimate? Point estimate gives us one specific number, like here, we only have one number. However, interval will give us a range of numbers. As we can see here, we have a lower bound and upper bound.